Tucson's hospitality market is heating up. Is it? Well, it certainly is around the university area where we've had a project just be completed that's up and running we're going to hear about, and one that's going to be coming out of the ground, and we're also going to hear about the whole general marketplace here real soon.
The Main Gate Hotel is part of the overlay district and was part of the overlay district zoning. Most likely it will be a Marriott Residence Inn. It'll be an iteration or addition that has not been built. The latest addition is being built and finished right now in Tempe. This addition and the modifications that have been made, it's just much more urban, have not been built. This should be the first one in the country. How high it will be approximately 30-some feet. And it'll be parking on the ground floor and then parking for 4 floors above that. All of them are suites. They all have high ceilings. The bathrooms are very large. This is the 13th floor. The 13th floor will be a rooftop bar. And above that is what we call the University Club, and that is this right here, the all glass all the way around. The university is going to lease that, and we've worked with several stakeholders at the university to develop this, and it's not just a faculty club. It's alumni club, it's corporate stakeholders, like some of the banks in here. Maybe they didn't attend the University of Arizona, but they give to the university, interact with the university. So it'll be, and also be foundation people that donate money and so on.
The Aloft Tucson University, this is actually an owned asset by Starwood Hotels. It was opened in the early 70s. Some of you may remember that as the Plaza. It had quite a few different names. This is our second conversion from Starwood Hotels. So Aloft was a brand that really envisioned ground up. This is really a growing brand for us. We say vision of W Hotels. It's kind of what we call the SSB or the little select serve down below W, similar to like the Element brand for Westin. Here's pictures pre and post. This is the site as it stands now. You can see we cut off the back deck of that. We really cleaned up the structure of the building. Finished product, all king or 2 queen size beds in the guest room. Bathrooms, rain shower heads, no bathtubs in the guest room, clean lines. Here's the meeting space, built-in AV. This is WXYZ, so right in the main lobby area, pool area. So lots of color usage, very design-forward brand. Trying to get on the hot side of the furnishings.
Just to give you a little bit of background in terms of who we are at Visit Tucson, we are a nonprofit organization, a 501c6. Our budget actually just went up from about $6.5 million to $7 million this year. DMO, that's an acronym for Destination Marketing Organization. Bottom line is we're here to put heads in these hotel beds, and so we're so excited to see Main Gate, and with Tom and Jerry, congratulations. We are very excited to get Main Gate Hotel up and running. Tourism in Pima County. Chuck Huckleberry and I argue quite a bit as to whether it's aerospace, it's tourism, what is it that has the biggest impact. But we look at trying to compare ourselves against some of the major Western U.S. destinations. Out of the 15, unfortunately, you see from a hotel standpoint, occupancy, average daily rate, RevPAR, we're 14th out of 15. There's a long way for us to go. What do we need to do? And that comes down to the messaging side of it. So as we started to consider what is that message, what is that brand for Tucson, I invite you to take a look at this. Things are different in the desert. The sky is bigger. The stars are brighter. The sunsets stop you in your tracks. We still have real cowboys and rugged mountains and the kind of cactus most people only see in cartoons. Seems like a pretty good description of Tucson, doesn't it? Here's our position on it. For those who venture off the beaten path, Tucson is proud to be a little out there, a natural oasis from the unoriginal and pretentious that inspires the free spirit in us all. The brand promise, Tucson inspires a sense of freedom among all who visit. And freedom is going to be, again, a very key concept here. Notice down at the bottom of the slide, the whole free yourself concept. That's our positioning as we move ahead here. So some of the experiences, Tucson, maybe just a little bit out there. The laid-back vibe. Multiple cultures, a place where everybody feels welcome, the freedom to roam. Again, just taking a look at that whole concept of geotourism, surroundings that surround you. Again, taking a look at the landscape, the birding and wildlife, and the open minds. Again, these are the kinds of things that in our messaging, not just advertising, but on our website and other materials, we have to make sure that people understand Tucson's a little different. We're looking for that way to really distinguish ourselves. Free yourself. Again, that's the positioning. In terms of when you think about a vacation, when we are talking to our top customers in New York and San Francisco, LA, Chicago, Denver, etc., part of what they're looking for is an escape from their daily reality. They're looking for that opportunity to free themselves, to relax, to rejuvenate, to be in a place that's very different from what their daily reality would be.
We'll move on to new home, and that segment is going to be discussed by Randy Agron. Randy?
I think new homes are still affordable, but that's changing. I think we've already seen the change, and I think that's going to continue. I think we all know we've seen an interesting little spike in interest rates. Where that's going to go is hard to determine, and how it's going to affect new homes. I think there's people on different sides. Me personally, I think the rates are going to stay in this 5-6 area and are going to have some impact on new homes, but probably not significant. These are still extremely low rates, and prices are still relatively affordable for now. For new home builders and new homes, I think it's going to continue to improve, but there's a lot of challenges out there for us that we'll see. We're on pace right now this year to do about 2,400 permits, which is significantly up from the bottom of somewhere around 1,500, I believe, but clearly significantly less than the historical average of probably 4,000 to 5,000 permits of what you would think in a normal market would absorb, and obviously way down from our peaks of 11,000 and 12,000.
For retail, we have to adapt to our changing age and demographics, and also in terms of the economy. So actually, this is, if you kind of look at what Paul just distributed, this is that for the retail market, which is about 22 million square feet as it's been defined. Mid-year occupancy is at 9.3%, which is down about 60 basis points since end of first quarter. So you see a little bit, but some of that really just is a seasonal adjustment. Then we kind of basically digress, which is there really ends up being two stories. For lease renewals, the renewals have not been basically moving upward. Is if the ownership wishes to retain the existing tenancy, it's been relatively soft, given the fact that there are not a lot of inherent costs involved with a renewal. The influences here in Tucson is new home construction, which is nominal. It's not non-existent, but it's nominal. May unemployment as a reference point, and this is, I think, the interesting story for Pima County, was 6.3%, which is down point from 7.1. And it's also an interesting relevance to 7.8 and 7.6 statewide.
So the theme for my comments on the industrial market this morning is stabilizing yet skittish. And so what do I mean by stability or stabilizing? In a general sense, and backed by data that I'll go through in a second, I think there's an indication in general market perception that we're coming off the bottom. A couple of data points there. We have 4 consecutive quarters now of positive absorption. We haven't seen that since 2007, so that's a good sign for trends. Vacancy has leveled. We saw a precipitous rise, and it's leveled, and now it's finally trending down a little bit in industrial. On the leasing side, we're seeing more corporate and credit-worthy tenants than we have, and with that, we're seeing longer lease terms. So during the depths of the recession, it was kind of bubblegum and duct tape. Whoever you can get into a space, if it's a year lease, if it's a 6-month lease, if it's month-to-month, just get them in. If they can fog a mirror. And now we're seeing that kind of revert to more normalcy, I would say, in terms of the tenant quality, which is nice. So we got people coming down from Phoenix again, regional and national players. That's a really nice change. And concessions are starting to get more reasonable as well in industrial. So some of the horror stories you heard in Phoenix primarily, but even down here, but in Phoenix they would have 3-4 year leases with the first 6-12 months free, triple nets only, things like that. Not so much down here, but to a lesser degree, and that's starting to go away here. So that's kind of on the stability side. On the skittish side, why do I say skittish? And kind of the general theme there is that there's still kind of a lack of confidence in the strength and longevity of the recovery. People are still kind of waiting, where's what's the other bad news to drop here? Are we really on stable ground or not? And so people are really skittish. And so, the points under that would be, I'd say jobs is front and center, both on a national and local level. If you look at the national numbers, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but the labor force has shrunk. If we actually added all the folks back that have dropped out of the labor force, we'd be at somewhere around 15% unemployment in this country, which is not good. Locally, if we compare Tucson to Phoenix, the state was projected to generate about 60,000 new jobs this year, and 3,000 of those were projected to be from Tucson. So that's really not, doesn't paint a great picture. So there's just a lot of concern about jobs in general. And of course, jobs make the economy. If we don't have jobs, everything else follows. Corporate consolidation appears to have stopped, but we were hoping for a quick rebound in corporate expansion to follow that, which usually happens. We have not really seen that here. And we haven't seen rent growth yet.
I wanted to start at the quick look at the national level. The Federal Reserve is indicating that they are seeing a modest increase in loan demand. Some firms are actually, they're starting to borrow. They're getting off the fence. They're finishing those capital improvement plans and those expansion plans that they've had to shelve for a while. Some banks are noting increased competitive pressure when it comes to pricing. And banks in general are noting an improvement in credit quality, but the credit standards within those institutions are largely remaining the same. Here locally, like most lenders, we are looking at all product types. We remain a little cautious with land. Our local commercial real estate department, we look at projects $3 million and over. Probably the biggest challenge right now, as has been mentioned by some other speakers, is the increased rates. We've seen treasuries increase 90 to 100 basis points, so that is affecting the longer term financing. However, your shorter term and your bridge financing rates are remaining relatively stable. That said, the rates still remain a very, below 6, below 5.5, still very good rates. Current loan structures that we're seeing include construction with some level of mini-perm. In general, we are seeing a project get through construction, some level of stabilization, and then often being taken out to CMBS or life markets so that they can lock in that rate and term.
Basically, the areas with the most active community count in the past year have been Oro Valley with 11 and the Dove Mountain area with 9. And these two areas also seem to be the highest per lot value as well, if you're looking at it on a per unit basis. Other areas that are picking up interest would be the Suarita area. They've had about 5 transactions. The Vail Southeast area, which is around 7 transactions, and the North Moran area in the farm fields. Investors have also been pretty active in the market. One of the deals that I did was with Diamond Ventures. They purchased approximately 80 acres in Stone Canyon last year. Forest City sold their holdings to the Petrus Group out of New York. And in addition to Gladden Farms, Petrus also purchased the Santa Rita Ranch 3 property a couple months ago. Sunbelt Holdings out of Phoenix purchased Sendero Pass. I believe they're working on another project too here. Sendero Pass is on the southwest side. And True Life Communities, they purchased 2 monster deals in the past year. One in Rancho Vistoso and one near Rancho Del Lago, which is called Rincon Knolls.
As I mentioned earlier, we were going to introduce a new initiative that we've done at the Research Council. So the intent here is to provide a one-stop source of data on a quarterly basis to the real estate community. And we do this through committee process, and we select and express what I would say an opinion of the market to kind of synthesize all the information that's out there.
As Paul mentioned, it's the idea was to provide a non-biased opinion of the different data points in terms of vacancy, absorption rates, asking rates, etc., and to aggregate it into something that's usable and easily readable. And as Paul mentioned also, this is a very, very rough draft. So we definitely encourage everyone to, if they have ideas how to improve it, if there are things they would like to see added, if you have ideas for the formatting that might improve what you see, we definitely encourage everyone to let us know what those thoughts are.